Sorry, we're a little late. Welcome to the March 20th, 2019 Board of Education meeting. Would you please stand for the pledge to the flag?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to turn this over to the superintendent. We have a number of board recognitions tonight.
We do. Colleagues, is it not possible to find chairs for our guests?
Sure it is. The staff would be happy to give up their
I've asked them once. See if we can find some seats.
She'd like to stay. It's okay.
Okay. Are you okay? Okay.
Okay. When you're happy, we happy.
Colleagues, good afternoon. Good early evening. I'd like to take a point of privilege, and I know you'll join me in the extraordinary leadership, parenting, and example of education leader, a true educator that we saw over the past week or two in an incident that we have since put to the side. But the issue is that the leadership shown by this, our own esteemed colleague and his family, is something that is a national proof point of what needs to be happening in our education bargain. It's what I mean when I say, and parents have this responsibility. And he exemplified that as well as anybody that I've ever seen in my extensive career. So please join me in giving us a rise for our own Dr. Darren Brown Hall. Where is Darren?
He's in
the kitchen.
Might get some food.
I don't think he
Need to do
expected
that.
that.
But I did want to do that. He didn't know. He didn't know. Thank you. Thank you. Better believe it. All right, colleagues, we also have a very special treat this evening. We have 3 recognitions that focus on student talent, student academic achievement, just the beauty and the genius of our students. One of the things that we're focusing on is equity. We're refocusing our energies around equity. And again, over our careers as educators and as public servants, one of the areas that I know there are more pearls and there are more kids of talent and ability than we often find in a school district. The notion, for example, of gifted and talented is often something that is reserved in the hands of the suburbs or in affluent parents and their children. And the reason is simple. It's because we often don't get the referral in districts where there's poverty or where there are high numbers of children of color, for example. We're underrepresented in gifted and talented programs and in other programs of exception. Tonight, though, we're going to disprove that. And we have 4 outstanding students from Olmsted 156 who recently were selected from over 7,000 applicants to participate and perform in the New York State School Music Association's All-State Orchestra. That's a big deal, colleagues. It's a big deal. And I'm just going to say that they have an excellent teacher, clearly, and Mr. Mudd. I don't know Mr. Mudd's first name, but I do know Principal Mike Gruber, and he's here to introduce the students. And I believe we will have the treat of one solo performance, violin performance. All of these students play the string instruments very well. And Mike, are you prepared to introduce your students?
This is Corinne Klauser. She's going to do the solo performance. Adam Zadarsky, Zinga Cameron, and Madeline Fitzgerald.
So I'll be playing a portion of Mozart's Concerto No. 4 in D major.
Board members, would you like to take a picture with these talented students? That's what it's all about. Evelyn, if you could choreograph it, we'd appreciate it.
They're all string players. Mind going over there for them?
We're going to do it down this way, okay? Beautifully done. Thank you.
Parents want to come over here with me and take a shot?
Thank you.
We need to get them all squished together. It's a long line.
It's 5:30.
Yeah, we're gonna need everybody to really scrunch up a little, and we're gonna, you know what?
Okay, you don't mind?
Yeah, you know what? We'll take turns. Did you get them all in? Moms, you get your shot?
I got mine.
Okay, cool. Thank
It's the
you.
first time you've ever had to scrunch down.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, congratulations.
Congratulations, Dad. Yeah.
That's a nice way to start the meeting.
He just didn't make it.
It might not be. Come on now. Colleagues, we ready?
Ready.
Want to keep moving you along. You have Dr. Nevergo, why don't let you, because there's students here, we don't want to see who's here. Let's see.
Oh, yes, well, why don't we see who's here? Will all the students please stand who are here tonight? I know we have some more students.
All the students?
Because there's one back there whose paper I'm going to sign.
We kidnapped it.
Come on. Bring your paper up here so I can sign
Don't
it.
bring your paper. You got 2 hours.
Tell us what school you're from.
Da Vinci.
Okay.
Well, he gets 2 hours, I know that.
And ECC and someone else? Anyone else? A lot of young looking people out there.
the hallway of Da Vinci.
Got some more.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right.
All right, colleagues. This next recognition is in the area of poetry and history. Young lady, Abria Cooper, a North Park School 66 student, I believe she's an 8th grader now, has an original poem that she's going to perform. After Nevergo.
I'm sorry.
We're going to have to.
We'll have to stop.
Whenever you're ready, I'll be here, but I think we'll let you.
Okay, Abria, just take a minute, okay? Where are you, Abria?
Where would you like to? You can stand in front of the
Okay.
room like where the violinist was too. I don't, you probably don't need it like, where you can see everything.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Always flag papers.
Still stay though after they. See, that's the other. You gotta sign it afterwards.
He's here early if you want me to sign it. I will sign it.
You know, he signs it.
All right, can I ask everyone to calm down? Calm down and sit down.
Okay. Now, colleagues, seriously, let's refocus. This is very, very important. All of these students tonight are special because they represent what we're all about and what you're about. You focus on students and student achievement. This is what can result. So today, Abria Cooper is with us, colleagues. Abria Cooper is an 8th grader at North Park 66. She has an original poem that she performed recently at a Saturday school program, a Black History Month theme for that Saturday school on that day, called not Coming to America, but Becoming America. And my wife Gail and I had the pleasure, tremendous pleasure, of seeing Abria perform this poem during a Black History Month celebration in North Park. We are so honored to share Abria's powerful talents with you tonight. She is here with her principal, Rose Snyder. Please pay full and undivided attention to Aubrey Cooper's original poem.
So can I just say that Aubrey is an 8th grader at North Park. She's an honor roll student. She's the president of her class, and she's on the leadership and training team. And she's going to Hubstaff next year.
A sequence of events. First, we were born on rich soil, stuffed with diamonds fit for us as royals, with the culture so fresh, never once spoiled, and hair so thick, just tangles and coils. Then, they came in. They turned the tables around and just took our independence. I'll have to save the gory details, so ask your parents. But in a few short years, we ended up in this new land, around all these white Americans. They looked at us so different, like we weren't the same humans. Treated us like I just had us slaving in the cottons. This goes beyond Kanye. That's a different kind of heartless. And I'm only getting started. They beat us, used us, and stripped us so there was nothing left. Next, a glorified version of freedom came in. 300 years of slavery to be met with segregation. We were given these new rights, but with nothing left to start with. It's all a constant cycle. We learn your English and you aim your rifles. We learn your French and you plot our deaths. We pick your cotton and you reach for her dress or put your hands to her neck. Again, I'll skip that. We keep our peace and you bash in our knees. We build your economy and you destroy our drinking gourd astronomies. We win our rights and you see it as a fight. I'm stating all facts, no little white lies. Now, you just love our culture so. Those aren't Kim K boxer braids, they're called cornrows. Our hair isn't teased, it's called an afro. We're all on the same planet, just in two different parts of the globe. Now, we pledge allegiance to your flag of these divided states of America. Now, we have to speak louder. Are you finally hearing us? And it figures after this, they still called us. Now, we prosper from the dirt that was thrown on us. Now, we are becoming America.
I want a picture with her.
We're going to get one with the mom, too, so hold on. But Dr. Nevergold has something to say, colleagues.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of hearing Aubrey this past summer when there was a press conference, a big to-do on the occasion of funding, the foundation funding that was coming through Gary Crosby, the work of Gary Crosby from KeyBank, and she spoke representing the student body at that time. And I said, this young lady is an uncrowned queen in the wings, emerging community builder. So I look forward to talking to you more about what that means, but you do represent your very well.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Well, come on, bro. Get on there. Because you spoke your truth. I was believed.
Yes, she did.
Everybody wants to talk to you. You spoke. I wasn't true.
I was just getting something like picture.
Thank you.
Thank you. She's done right here.
I appreciate it.
Oh, no. All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Biochemical engineering. Thank you. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Huh? So are those no jeans?
Uh-oh.
Let me tell you about that look.
I don't like that.
I know.
talk to Rose. Rose got some work to do there. She is waitlisted for city honors. Hello. Can't get in the door. Where's the dream? Where's Martha's dream? Hallelujah.
Waitlisted.
No, no.
Lauren Hall and your family, if you could come up and stand here with us. Colleagues,
Trouble in the house. Trouble in the house. Oh, Lord.
colleagues, this is a special honor for me to introduce someone and his family very fond in my heart. I'm very fond of him. Mr. Hall is one of our top security officers in the district. He works at MST. He is just outstanding. Every now and then he'll take me around, and we have just the best conversations about our schools and academics and what this work is all about. What I did not know is that his wife Julie have 4 beautiful children, but what's extraordinary about it is the home curriculum and the emphasis on achievement by these parents who are our own, and the way they do that is another exemplar of the bargain. This is what it's all about. If we get this kind of value system and structure and focus relentlessly on achievement, this is what can occur. Now, I can talk about all of them, but I want to especially focus tonight because I've been studying and researching with Mr. Hall about Anjali. I'll also say Gabriella, and of course, the sons is Isaiah and Jeremiah. Anjali is a 2009 graduate of City Honors. Isaiah is a 2012 National Honor Society graduate of Hutch Tech. Gabriella is a 2018 City Honors graduate, and Jeremiah is a 10th grade student at Olmsted 156. There is a relentless focus on achievement in this family, and this young lady went on to Princeton. She is going on to other things which she wants me to hold for right now, but it is absolutely in the top 1% in the country. And she has done so many things, so many awards, degree in anthropology and urban planning. She has worked with academic research centers across the country, community-based organizations focused on advancing equity and inclusion in affordable housing, healthy communities, and food access. She's worked as a youth services counselor and an AmeriCorps tutor. She's published articles, and she has been a research fellow at the Haas Institute for Fair and Inclusive Society at UC Berkeley, contributing to projects on affordable housing and prisoner reentry. And it goes on and on. A humble family, but what I can tell you is, and these young ladies will tell you, if you just ask them, how much did they study? When did they get up in the morning? When did they go to bed at night? Because I asked them about, social media and all of the time too many young people spend on this. So what did you tell me? You would get up at what time?
5:30 in the morning.
And you would go to bed at what time?
11.
And what was in between?
Constant studying. No friends, just a lot.
Relentless, all through for the 4 years in high school for sure. And your older sister, by 9 years, you wouldn't know she's 9 years older, would you? They look like they're the same age. What about your study? And since you're a little girl, tell us how you just had it in you.
I definitely studied really hard, but I would say that my accomplishments are also a matter of luck. I learned about the entrance test of City Honors by a matter. My mom heard about another parent talking about it in my 4th grade class. I learned about Princeton through a flyer in the mail because I did well on my SATs, and I will say that although I've done some things that I guess are unusual or exceptional, I really wish that they weren't, and I wish that in these places I've been, I saw more students who like me, students of color, black students, first generation college students, and that I measure my accomplishments not by these institutions that I'm associated with, but whether or not when I walk through a door, I hold it open for other people.
Younger siblings, are you proud of your older sister?
Absolutely.
Okay, and what was the role that your parents played in your lives? Why would you say that you're so successful? What's some of the secrets? Structure.
Structure.
Okay. Say more about that. What does that mean?
Like
What's a day in the life in your home when you were coming through the
homework is the priority. There's no, social stuff, hopping on the game or none of that stuff. It's just homework and then chores and, hop in the shower and then to sleep. And that was routine, day after day, It kept us on the straight and narrow.
How many hours a day would you say you study on average?
Me out of all of them, not the most. I did a couple. But
Is 2 to 3 hours a day unusual for your sisters and for you?
For them, 2 to 3 hours. This like 6 or 7 for them.
Beyond the school day.
Yes.
Do you hear that, colleagues? There's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. It's hard work. And young fella at Olmsted, how much time after school do you spend studying? Yes? 2 hours though, right? Is that right? Mom? Okay. 2 hours is good.
I like to keep myself balanced and make sure I'm not overworking myself, but I'll make sure that I get by. I'm not trying to cut corners.
Fair enough. Well stated. Anything else you'd like to say? Lauren, what would you like to say on behalf of your family?
It's very important with the parents. And I made it clear with them growing up, using the Lion King as an example. If you really look at the movie, you see that the one cub understood that he had something, he had something that he had to do. And so his ancestors and all of that, he understood his heritage, his history, which is super important. Particularly when you're a mixed couple. I wanted to make sure that it was connected to their African American history is super important. My wife is Sicilian, and they also are very well aware of that part of their history too. So I felt that that's super important. Be connected to your heritage. Don't feel inferior to no one. Be polite, respect, and judge people by the content of their character, and not how much money they make, titles or whatever. So hopefully they still grasp that.
And you did not buy that scene for Christmas. All right then. There we go. Proud of you. Standing up for these students. All right, colleagues, thank you so much. I think we should take the picture with the Hall family. This is a Buffalo Public School family right here.
Success story. Hallelujah.
Could we go down and go to the middle hall? Right down to the middle, okay? So that we can come around you. Lane, you can keep going down. Can we go down any further?
Yeah, just squeeze together as much as they can. Do this sideways. Throw a shoulder at me. Yeah. What's that? I don't know that you're almost all the same. No, I can do it. If they'll stop talking on that end. You're not buying hay. Believe it or not, I got everybody in this shot. Lauren. Yeah. That's why.
Sorry.
Dr. Howard will go just a teeny bit that way so I can see Lauren's chin.
Okay.
Now let's see, everybody's face. Good, this way, that is the biggest group. You look great. Thank you.
That's Ms. Hurd.
That was the only fault. You're right. She overcame that. She overcame.
Left herself. She got another name. She wouldn't even come by. She would be too busy.
I wouldn't send her to a second tier institution.
Oh, somebody's got to be.
Second tier. All right.
Okay, I have a recognition to make now before we join to recognitions. I'm sorry this is all folded up and so forth, but I want to acknowledge our superintendent as one of the outstanding citizens selected by the Buffalo News. And so
speechless.
Okay.
That was an honor because Buffalo. You know?
Yes.
Big deal.
Dr. Harris Tig will not be at the meeting today, so may I have a motion to excuse.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Cotman, seconded by Ms. Woods, all in favor.
Aye.
And I'm not sure about Ms. McCosey.
She said.
Oh, Ms. McCosey as well?
Yeah.
So may I have a motion to excuse Ms. McCosey? Ms. J, seconded by Ms. Pierce, all in favor. Aye. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our speakers. We have no update. So at this time, and I thank the speakers for their patience, the board welcomes speakers who have signed up to speak at tonight's meeting. Please be reminded that all speakers' remarks must be limited to 3 minutes or less. We ask that speakers be mindful that this is a business meeting open to the public and televised locally. Attendees and viewers include persons from throughout Western New York, including children. This board asks that speakers conduct themselves professionally and that their comments remain civil and courteous, bearing in mind that they will be heard by people of all ages. This is an opportunity for Buffalo's residents to address the Buffalo Board of Education about issues that serve the public interest and district mission. And the board asks that speakers demonstrate appropriate decorum. Our first speaker is Jacob Bloomberg.
How's it going, board? We actually designed this presentation to kind of be with me and my associate, so I was wondering if we could present together.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Well,
Both have 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Great. Thank you very much. Well, my name's Jake Blumberg. I'm representing Global Vending Group today on behalf of our new bookworm vending program. It has already been instituted in School 61 with the help of Dr. Robinson. And pretty much we've been in Buffalo for 25 years. We do specialty vending, and right now we find ourselves at a new crossroads where we're working with schools all over the country with our bookworm vending machine. And pretty much what the machine does is students earn tokens through good behavior and things like that, depending on what the schools want. And the student, in turn, gets to select a book and take it home. Did you want to jump in?
So we talked to a lot of administrators and a lot of teachers, and we kind of narrowed it down. There's a lot of issues going on in schools. We narrowed it down to 4 main ones that we can that we can help solve. The biggest one being the low literacy rates. Notice with the external factors nowadays, TVs, video games, social media, kids aren't reading anymore, which causes lower literacy. There's also a language barrier, and we can see all this through our standardized testing scores. Also, there's the Renaissance Learning Study has shown that 82% of students who fail English class before grade 6 fail to graduate high school. That's just another statistic, and that was out of 1,300 students. There's also behavioral issues, parenting issues, going into following directions, and a lack of or a missing of positive reinforcement within schools. There are programs in place, but what we created, which I'll talk on in a minute, will try and include all that. Also, the low school to at-home transfer. Kids aren't completing their homework, or there's a lack of that at-home support or engagement. Also, family reading involvement. Trying to get the community, or trying to get the family together to read and really be a family. So our program is called the Bookworm Literacy Program. It's a vending machine, as Jake said, that vends books using a golden token.
Yeah, and this program was really developed with educators within the Buffalo School District, Dr. Robinson, and we've taken input from Scholastic, the publishing company, as well as teachers, Mr. Alessandro at Build Academy. I actually went to visit Build Academy 2 weeks ago. I met with Mrs. Shedrick Allen, and this was something that they're getting funding for. And now the question is, how are we going to get this vending machine in schools that are, Title I schools that might not be able to have funding allocated for it? We have been working with local businesses. We've been working with, may I continue?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Businesses.
3 minutes.
Yep.
This 3 minutes is coming up.
Great. United Way, we've been working with many businesses and non-for-profit organizations to get this funded. And we do extend an invitation for any board member who would like to see this in action. Go to School 61 or our headquarters over in East Amherst.
Yeah, so basically just how the machine works, so you guys have a good idea of it, is it is a reward system based off whatever the school needs. So if they notice something is lacking, or they're not following instructions, or not doing their homework, you can put this support program in place. So it uses positive reinforcement in the form of a golden token. So the student will do something good, they'll be rewarded a token, they can then take that token to the vending machine and vend their favorite book. Now the real kicker is they get to take that book home and build their at-home library. So this is where literacy all comes together and bridging that gap. We want the families to come together and read, and we want the students to be excited about reading. And we have noticed some really positive changes. I'll let Jake talk about the testimonies, or what other schools have noticed that have a bookworm currently.
So in my communication with Dr. Robinson, we've had a few phone calls. He has noticed a positive change in behavior among students, actually behaving more positively, in the sense that they do. This is something that the students want. They do want the chance to vend a book and receive a token. Now, I understand School 61 has kind of been distributing tokens, less on behavior and more on just giving everyone a chance to take a book home. Which the good part about this program is that it's flexible. For instance, we have a school district in Connecticut where the students receive a token on their birthday, and that's a district where the at-home support isn't quite where it needs to be, and they want to make the children feel special, and they want the children to be celebrated on their birthday, and what better way than with their favorite book. But yeah, right now we have about a few dozen awaiting funding, and we're working with those schools to achieve funding all over the country. And these are Title I schools. These are schools with a strong PTA. So we really work with every school, because we really want to work with schools that need this program the most. We don't want to reserve it to schools with a PTA that's strong and they can afford it. We want those Title I schools to receive this project.
Yeah, I think you hit home on that. You know, it's really just about bringing the community together and bringing the children, or getting the children excited to read. This is just another platform to promote reading, and that's what we want it to be known as.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Reverend David Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President, Nevergold and fellow East High alum, and to the Honorable Sharon Beltran-Cotman, also an East High alum, and to the entire Buffalo Board of Education. We are here this evening to inform Buffalo Board of Education of the existence of the East High School Alumni Group, affectionately known as the EHAG. We have been in existence for more than 5 years. Within the last year, we have been in the process of establishing a permanent presence at East High School. We have been meeting at East High School on a continuous monthly basis since September 2018. We are in the process of establishing a permanent website page along with a Facebook page to make our endeavors publicly known. The mission of the East High Alumni Group is to honor and preserve the great legacy and heritage of East High School and to be a voice to advocate and support the educational opportunities open to the community educated within the walls of East High School. What motivates the East High School Alumni Group is that we anticipate great beneficial changes are coming from the Board of Education to the educational community of the city of Buffalo in the very near future. And we want to ensure that East High School remains an integral part of that process. As you may know, East High School has been in existence for more than 75 years, since 1926. And while the East High School Alumni Group certainly honors the great contributions that East High School graduates have made to this community, as evidenced by 2 outstanding board members here tonight, our eyes are nevertheless focused on the prizes that are yet to come in the future from the hollow halls of East High School. Because who knows what the future holds, but we do know that the future holds nothing if the doors are closed. For East High School's motto has always been and always will be Ex Oriente Lux Se Patria. Out of the East comes knowledge and light. We thank you for the opportunity to present this presentation to you tonight, and we look forward to working with the Board of Education in the future.
Thank you. James Reed. Good job.
I'd like to thank the board and Dr. Cash for allowing me to speak today. First of all, I'd like to bring you greetings from the Prince Hall family. I'm a 32nd degree Mason. I was urged to come here today and say something about the lead in the water in the schools and when it would be finally tested and we would have the results turned over our community. Because some of us didn't spend much time in church or go to great schools that had extraordinary principles like you had here today. Some of us grew up in the streets, and those are my outlaw friends. And the people who are in this room look more like my in-laws. Nice, decent people. But those of us who didn't have a lot of opportunity, I like to just say there's always a chance for people like us. And given an opportunity the way you have been done, Dr. Cash, it seems to us that we need to know what's happening with this water. in the community. We know that you told us that we shouldn't panic and that we would be testing and the results would be turned over. But Dr. Cash, I was at ground zero. I was one of the people who flushed those pipes before we took those samples. Wasn't right. I contacted the state of New York. I spoke to Letitia James' office. They launched an investigation. The Buffalo School District is being investigated right now for their practice in testing the water. I'm sure everybody in the room knew that, right? Show of hands. But you did, didn't you, Dr. Cash? Because I understand they contacted you personally. You too, Miss Nevergo. I'm sure they contacted you.
We're going to let you finish first, and then I'm going
No, that's all right. I'm leaving after I finish. I just wanted to let you know.
We're going to let you finish.
I just wanted to let you know, Dr. Cash, that this is not a joke. This is not a joke. You got kids out here, 35,000 of them. They drink a lot of lead every day. I was one of those kids that failed kindergarten. But there was an extraordinary principal here today, like Rose Snyder. With principals like that, I was able to become a college graduate, #1 in my class. So you did something right, and you're doing something right. But those of us who grew up on the city streets on the east side of Buffalo, we need a little hope. So I'm just here to ask for some help. If you could just give us the results, let us know what you want to do about the lead in the water, we would appreciate it. And I yield my time back. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Alicia McGee. Is Alicia McGee here? And Eve Shippen.
I brought a copy of a letter for the board members and
Mr. Reed? I just want you to recognize that somebody else is going to speak. And Ms. Shippens, when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Eve Shippens. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Buffalo Parent Teacher Organization, and I'm a teacher in the city. Bringing this to your attention, the subject of teacher grief, because it's one that is very near to my heart, unfortunately. I brought this to your attention at the town hall meeting that Dr. Cash had in the spring. When teachers have repeated losses of students, over time, this takes a toll. This is trauma. And teachers, when they're grieving and nothing is being done, sometimes we don't even recognize we're in grief, we shut down. And we all know that the relationship between students and teachers are vital in order for students to learn. This subject came up again for me because I recently lost a student I had in middle school. He was one of the victims in the shooting on Sanders Road. Excuse me. But it's not just my own grief. When I talk to any of the teachers that I'm friends with, I have a teacher friend who lost 3 students in first grade last year. She ended up on medical leave for a while after that because of heart problems. Not directly related, but she has a pacemaker and she went into AFib after the 3rd death. I have a teacher friend who lost a student, I won't get descriptive in case there's any students listening, in a horrible, gruesome way. And so she sometimes sits in her classroom and she just sees the kids disappearing before her eyes. This is something that we need to deal with because when teachers don't know what to do with their grief, they can't give to the students. And we have to be there and be able to continue to give, but we can't give if we're not replenished. So the BPTO is asking for a few things. One of them being that the teachers get to leave on board business to attend students' funerals and different functions about death. We're also asking that the district starts looking and implementing a policy that really addresses teacher grief, maybe professional development that teachers can go to voluntarily, because, again, people don't always recognize these signs in themselves. And we're asking the board and Dr. Cash that we can be leaders in this across the country and show other districts that are high impacted by violence and poverty and have a lot of student loss, we can show them how to do this the right way. Thank you.
Dr. Cash, yes.
Colleagues, to the two gentlemen that presented the bookworm vending machine, I like the mission to promote reading. Never can do too much in that regard. I would ask two questions, basically. What is the cost to the district? And in the selections of reading, I didn't notice in the picture that there was a lot of cultural literacy and infusion of different genres of books, different cultural backgrounds, literacy, and lingual backgrounds. But that would be something that we'd be interested in. But anyway, I'll find out more about your program and take it under advisement. We want to commend Mr. Hampton and the group of East alumni that came up to the podium and spoke. That is wonderful news that you will be forming an East High School alumni group. I would comment that please include some of the younger graduates, first year, 5-year, out of school, and make it a really robust group of alumni that get in and continue to grow and improve outcomes for the current students in East High School. And then I would suggest that you also consider beginning a foundation. Any high school can begin a foundation to provide monetary support for things a school might need beyond what the school board budget can afford. So that might be an initiative that you would consider as you begin to develop your alumni group. Mr. Reed, we appreciate your concerns about lead in water. It is a significant issue whenever that is the case, and certainly we have done testing of all of our schools, high school, elementary school, and the results are available. We are within the guidelines of the state at 15 ppbs per billion, and we can show you the results of that. And we believe we've done the results right. Ms. Yvette Gordon has led that effort for us. And Mr. Joe Giugiano, if I understand, we're in compliance with that. Are we?
That is correct. Yes.
Across all the schools?
Across the entire district.
So we don't mind you continuing to be an activist in this area, and if you feel there's still an issue, we welcome investigation to come in and see how we can correct and continue to do what our children need. Ms. McBroom, I don't believe was here. And then Ms. Shippen, Eve, you know, we have talked about this before. We certainly don't, we concur with this as being an issue. We certainly believe it. It resonates. But I do believe that it's preliminary to jump to what would be a solution to it. What I would like to do is maybe sit down with a group of staff and a group of teachers who've experienced this, as you so eloquently described, and then come up with, together, some potential solutions. As you know, we have this system-wide trauma-informed care for students, where teachers are being trained to help students who undergo trauma. But it certainly occurs to me that there ought to be some similar kind of support, if not training, so certainly support for teachers who teach and become very close to their students. So let's look at it as something that we sit down and talk about, and then maybe we'll see where the solutions lie. But I appreciate your your concern, not only for you, but for your colleagues as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. May I have a motion, please, to accept the minutes of February 13th?
So moved.
Thank you. Move. Mr. Petrucci, second. Ms. Woods, all in favor? Thank you. We go to committee reports. I'd like to start with our. Oh, you have an issue you want to bring up? What do you want to bring up? Oh, you want to go last? Okay. Then we'll go reverse then with Ms. Pierce, your committee report.
So our committee report, we had a presentation that was given by Dr. Rosser last week with regards to attendance and suspension, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Very informative, self-explanatory. I won't go into much detail. Everybody seemed satisfied with the information that they provided.
The bullying.
Bullying. Anti-bullying.
Oh, the anti-bullying task force, yes. Again, it was a very informative topic that continues to grow. Ms. J is very informed. And the committee can probably talk at great length about it.
Thank you.
Nothing to report now. I'm working on some things which with everybody will next meeting.
Okay, Mr. Quinn. Ms. J.
I've been extremely busy this month, working on meeting all of my constituents and talking to people in my community about all the issues that are going on in the North District. So I've been very busy visiting my schools and talking to my neighbors and talking to teachers and talking to students. So that's where I've been focusing my efforts this month.
Ms. Woods.
We have the Finance and Ops Committee meeting March 6th. The major issue was a new location for the Collegiate Institute, and that still remains unresolved. Other than that, I went to some meetings on school suspensions and breaking the school prison pipeline, 20-30 community groups. They invited the president of the union and all these elected officials, and they didn't invite the board members, but I came anyway, and most of the issues were being referred, saying the Board of Education has to address them. So I asked, well, if you're going to be talking about reducing school suspensions, breaking the school prison pipeline, next time, why don't you include the Board of Education? Other than that, I've been getting a lot of problems with parents calling on, trying to find about placements, bullying, the usual constant work of a board member. And tomorrow I'm going to see Les Miserables at my Buffalo Performing Arts School so that I can support my school.
Thank you. Mr. Petrucci.
Thank you, Dr. Nevergold. Again, like most board members, I know that we are, it's that time of year for all of us to be out in our district and meeting with various individuals. 4 things kind of stick out for me from the last time. I did attend the Urban Forum with many of my fellow board members. I was only able to basically caught the tail end of it and then lunch, but lunch was good, and I got to network with a bunch of people, and I got the book that I started reading that was handed out about black male graduation rates and problems with integration to our problems and making them all better, making them as best as they can be. I did go to the DPCC meeting. I haven't been to one in a long time. I went to the Erie County Association of School Boards called The Leadership, where Dr. Brown and Dr. Harris-Teague both made presentations. And I went to the after-school network coffee hour, just kind of showcase and to meet some of our after-school providers as well.
Thank you. Ms. Belton-Coffey.
Thank you, Madam President. The Executive Affairs Committee met and we discussed or had a small conversation about equity. Our conversation about identifying our budgetary priorities for this year. What are we going to focus in on? And I asked each board member to bring back their ideas at the next meeting. Personally, I feel that I'd like to, the budgets have gone out to the schools already. And I am wondering what changes staff is recommending before the board makes their recommendation. In other words, we've had this conversation about making sure that we own our data each month, each year. And if a school, for example, if our district average for special ed is 18% and we have a school that has 26% special ed, I'm curious to know what is being done for that school. We talked about benchmarks before. What would it look like for every building, every school to have? What would it look for a basic level educational experience inside of our school? I'm looking forward to having that conversation during this budget period. But one of the things that I'm not seeing in the new budgets, and already in advance, is that there are any allotments for the schools that are above average in certain things, above average in the suspensions, below average in attendance, above average in students with L's and special ed. So these are the things that I think the budget should be, that the board should be focused in this year if we're talking about trying to start a formula about equity. And I'm really going to be all over the attendance piece, because what I'm seeing from the data that I'm looking at is that we have a problem getting our high school students to school. So I really want to look at that. In addition to that, on the 25th of February, I attended my monthly meeting with Burgard High School in regards to advanced manufacturing. I'm also working with the principal to try to work with the non-AMP students. I think there's a need there to provide more resources. February the 26th, I also attended a mental health support group. There's a grant that's been written. Burgard has been identified and there's an opportunity for additional supports. I'm going to ask that all board members get a copy of something that was sent to me today. It's COPS and no, you can take a look if you want it. Staff can make a copy of it. COPS and no counselors. How the lack of school mental health staff is harming our students. So this is something that was forwarded to me. Take a look at it if you want a copy. Staff will be happy to make a copy of it. On the 28th, we attended a forum that was sponsored by our new parent, one of our new parent groups, Most Valuable Players, in which many candidates for the board were introduced to the community. March the 1st, I did an MST visit and was very interested to see what's going on under the new leadership of Dr. Eberly. I am convinced that he has a good handle on that, and we should be seeing some great things out of MST. March the 4th, Most Valuable Player parents. I went to their training at Bennett. They are holding a weekly training to educate parents, and this week's topic was homework, how a parent can assist children to do homework. They have a 28-step program, and it was very informative. March the 7th, I attended the Hamlin Park Taxpayers Association meeting, and I represented the board in providing an update on what's going on with the Board of Education. On the 11th, I attended MST again. Came to a meeting with MST, and this time Houghton College was there. They have a new, Reverend Cook, he's new to our area. There is a new urban academy in which they are providing, it's an associate's degree. They are providing wraparounds for our graduates, which consist of transportation, mentors, book fees, etc. And they are, this September will be their opening date, and we're trying to make sure that they have the amount of students that they need. It's an associate degree program, and hopefully, so far our children are interested in that. March the 15th, I attended Buffalo Public Schools Math League. Very impressed with the work that Mrs. Wagstaff and her staff are doing with the Math League, and I asked Darren Brown to see about bringing those scholars down. We talk about sports leagues. Well, this is our Math League. These are the children who volunteer to be a part of math and do all these projects and things, so we want to highlight them also. March the 18th, we had a bid protest at the board. I'd be happy to share that with any board members that want to discuss that. Also on March the 18th, I attended a conversation with Built of Voice Buffalo regarding our immigrant population. And yesterday we attended the Urban Forum, which I want to give kudos out to Dr. Fatima Morel and her staff for the work that they did. Dr. Tyrone Howard, excellent speaker. And for those in the community who are wondering what is going on in the Buffalo Public Schools, please take advantage of that. We have a lot of conversation in our community that we are not doing culturally relevant information and providing that for our schools, and that's simply not true. I attended 2 workshops, and I know how to do a raft now. Don't ask me what. And Darren and I sort of hung out together. It was good because we were able to see the different things that they were doing. But the way they're integrating the culture into those classrooms, it's off the hook. I don't think anyone else is doing it in Buffalo. Kudos to you, Dr. Stash, for making sure that's getting done.
Well, she's doing a great job. So
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Ms. Sammy, before you go, I'm going to save you so you can be the absolute
No
last.
problem.
Okay, thank you. I also attended the Urban Academy yesterday. I think it's the 4th of one that's been done, and each one gets better and better. Very well attended. Again, I'd like to recognize the hard work that Ms. Morel and her staff do, and Ms. Botticelli as well, because it's no easy job to put together such an intricate program. And also, I like the fact that students were involved. We had students from My Brother's Keeper program. They presented workshops. They talked with us about the kinds of things that they do. One of the sessions that I attended, and we can see how that program is really impacting students now who've been in it for a while. So kudos again to all the staff. At your desk or at your places, you should see a couple of pieces of literature from the Big Five, Conference of Big Five, and these were printed up and used at the end of February 25th to the 28th or something. I was in Albany for Lobby Day. Lobby Day, well, I won't even go into that. That was fun, a couple of days. But we did get to speak to many of our legislators locally, but also I had the opportunity to meet with Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins, the majority leader of the Senate, as well as Senator Shelley Mayer, who is the chair of the Senate's Education Committee. I think that by now you know that Georgia Ashuda did resign as the long time executive director of the conference of the Big Five after almost 25 years. But she didn't go far because now she's working for Senator Mayer, and so we still have the the expertise and the support from Georgia, but in a different venue. And Jennifer Pyle has been elevated to the role of executive director. We hold a seat on the conference and the executive board. So next year, I hope that that this will be filled by someone on this board, and that we'll be very active as we have been over the years that I've been on the board and even before, because this is an important organization that lobbies and advocates for the needs of all of our districts. Last weekend, I attended my last meeting as a member of the Executive Committee of the Council of Great City Schools. Also a really important organization. It is, for me, the foremost organization that advocates for large urban school districts. In addition to that, though, they also provide services to our districts, and I noticed that one of our items on our agenda today to be accepted has to do with the support that the conference or the I'm getting them both mixed up. Council of Great City Schools is going to be providing. They provide data, they provide research for us, they provide advocacy for us, and they're critically important, I think. So I'm actually very happy to see that we are utilizing the services. They also just recently created a board member superintendent institute for professional development at Harvard. They're going to launch that this year. It's an intensive 4-day professional development program, and I hope you'll look into that. I think it would be important. As I said, this is the first one that was developed with the Harvard Business Institute, and already all the spaces are filled up for this very first inaugural program. And I think that's all I'm report on. So Ms. Sunny.
Thank you. Okay, so on February 28th, I attended the Black History Month celebration with Inner High Student Council, and they focused on the phrase "you can, you will, and you must" to the students. And on March 12th, we talked about the anti-bullying in the Inner High Student Council. And also, I attended the Urban Forum. That was my first time attending the event. It was so good. That's about it. And I have an issue that I wanted to discuss because it's my job to tell you guys what students are thinking, what students, what's their issues. The issue is about the incident that happened in New Zealand, Christchurch. Yeah. A lot of students are wondering, and not just students, parents and other community members, they're thinking, why didn't we do moment of silence in the school, the Buffalo Public Schools? And they asked me, and I said, like, I don't have an answer for that. And they think they just felt like left out, and they also wanted this Friday. A lot of Muslims are afraid to go to the mosque. You know, every Friday we have to go to the mosque and pray. So they were asking for every mosque they would have at least, 2 cups to honor the New Zealand incident that happened, and to show them that we're honored, we care about them, and we care about the Islamic communities out there. In Buffalo, yes.
Yes. We do have it on our agenda tonight for a moment of silence, but thank you for bringing that to our attention, students. I think that's very important. And we'll take that as advisement.
I don't think there was anything wrong with you going to your principal and asking.
I did.
Did you do it at your school?
No, he said that you're the one who said that you asked me in schools. I went to him on Monday because the incident happened on last Friday, and I was waiting for him to do it.
You have a large population.
Yeah. And then I got people from Homestead, Touch Tech, and of course, Da Vinci. They talked me about it. Some of my friends, and they were very upset about that.
Fair enough.
Thank you. That's
Just
why
was
we have
curious, what was the reason the principal gave that he said no?
He said the district tells us to do moments of silence. He said he couldn't do it until somebody made it.
I imagine that
Yeah,
principals have enough flexibility to do something like that. I find that an unacceptable response to you.
And a lot of parents, especially my parents, they were upset, and they said, like, do they not care about us? Is there a lot of racism? You know, people think stuff like that. I'm
can
sorry
see
if I
why.
made anybody uncomfortable.
No, I think that's all. We need to respond. You said, this is why we have a student representative on our board, because we need to hear the student voice, and you are right there at ground zero, and so you're bringing forth, and I think now having this information, the superintendent can follow up.
Thank you.
And you know what, on that point, we have children that are lost throughout this district on a regular basis. You know, Burgard, for example, has had quite a few over the past 5 years. And I don't think moments of silence are time for those. You know? So it's something that we can even expand. I mean, if we're telling our children that they should be global and we're preparing them for the world, I don't see anything wrong with moving that type of thing forward.
I think therein lies a solution. So when we do moments of silence, silent prayer, and just thoughtfulness and thinking, we can do it in a more global way when we're aware. So I think that's good.
So because I think you bring up a really good point, and also I think we would have to really pull back
and look at this more
Yes.
from a global perspective, because these kinds of incidents are happening routinely and they're happening all over the world. And I think that she, you know, what she's bringing up is this is an attack, a terrorist attack on the Islamic community. There's also been a terrorist attack on the Jewish community. There's been a terrorist attack in African American communities and black churches and Christian communities. So it happens all over at any given time. So if we're gonna, I think that I understand you're feeling like there's a lot of recognition and a lot of attention paid when certain things happen and maybe not so much when other things happen. So if we're gonna be, we need to be consistent across the board, because we have students in Buffalo Public Schools of every race, religion, ethnicity, and we wouldn't want anybody to feel that they're not being recognized, and that we, as a community, that we don't care about their pain.
I'm raising a different issue, and that is, if you're the head of a school, you should have enough confidence, enough authority to make decisions like that, and not kick it up here. You have a lot of Muslim students at Da Vinci. You know, I'm expecting school leaders to have common sense, to be in touch with their community, and as it goes for every group. And this was a particular case where it was a school and it was students, but I'm just disturbed by a school leader who would shuffle a student away like that and say, go talk to the superintendent. This is, yeah,
And
it bothers
also,
me.
like, I know this incident is very negative, but this is like red flag for us that we can talk about it to our students.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, tell them we can change this and make this like tell racism where there's no, you know what I mean? Like,
And that
stop
ties into
racism.
that culturally and linguistically responsible teaching. That's an issue right there that you can
And
integrate
none of
into
the
the
teachers,
curriculum.
what really upset me, I wanted the teachers to talk about it, and I asked the teachers, did you hear about it? And they said, yeah, we heard about it, and they just do their thing, and that really bothered a lot of the students. And a lot of them, they came up to me, they asked me, can you please talk to the board? And I was like, first let me talk to the principal, and I went to talk to the principal, and I'm not blaming him, but no.
Obviously,
I have to do
this is a
something.
bigger conversation, so you've raised it, and, you know, now that we know that this is an issue that
Good for
we need to
you.
address.
Yeah,
Yes.
you did an excellent job representing.
Dr.
Thank
Young, can I ask a just simple question? I mean, I've been out of school so long, I guess I don't understand it. When something of that kind of magnitude hit our school, our principals would bring the kids to the assembly or to the auditorium and put some kind of face to that, and put some kind of structure to our world is divided, but we want to come together, and this is still the American dream, and this is what we believe, and that would, all the children at least would hear, even if it's only 10, 15 minutes, they feel supported, and they hear unity. Is that just not happening anymore?
a week.
You know, board members, we should.
So be it.
Right, we would have to do
Well,
that.
okay, but
And it's
maybe that's
okay.
what we need to do. You know, I
But
mean,
we need to
I'm okay
have
with
a
it, but I-
conversation about it.
I don't think we have to wait for the superintendent to
No.
take the initiative, is what I'm saying.
I'm saying-
That's one of those you give green
I'm saying
light
that
to
also.
teachers everywhere, faculties, staff, principals, leaders, all throughout the district. Do it whenever the need arises, whenever the need arises. And
Well, when
if
a
I can
student-
do it, I'll do it.
When a student comes
I
to you
apologize.
and says, my fellow students are disturbed by this, and we want to talk about it, it may be that other events that we find shocking don't impact them the way this did at the school. And all I'm trying to point out is, the principal should have the flexibility to say, okay, I hear you, let's talk about it, let's do something about it. All these events hit people different ways. There are a couple of killings that we had at Burgard and MSD. I know we're dealt with that way, and students went to funerals, and so.
And they
yeah.
do have that flexibility.
They do, and that's all I'm saying, that this shouldn't be a board
You know,
policy.
also we missed a lot, like that one day my Muslim friends, they were waiting for him to say something about it, and the next day they did not come to school. They said, if they don't care
Yeah.
about us, then we're just not going to come to school. And I told them, I'm going to talk to you guys Wednesday, and
Well, in this circumstance, Dr. Cash, I think given, you don't want to alienate any group of people based on where they come from. It might be something you want to address by yourself.
It really affects
Go to
our
the school
learning
and,
When did this happen, on Friday? Are you in school on Friday, or you take
I
time
was
off?
in school.
But do you take time off to go to the NASDAQ?
No.
Okay.
Sometimes I
So maybe this Friday
You know, my
might be a
dad
good
was
time
scared.
at the same
We
time.
were gonna go, but my dad was scared to go.
Well, rightfully so. Maybe this Friday at the time that that happened, maybe you can do your moment of silence. And maybe that would be your healing.
All right, board members, can we move on? Thank you very much.
But let me just say that yesterday at the Urban Forum, one of the foci was healing circles.
Yes.
Doing
Yeah, I
circles.
did
Yeah,
that.
and so, and colleagues, certainly I'm one of the first to know that training doesn't always translate into behavior change. We get that. But certainly that is the goal of Ms. Botticelli when you say the way we're spiraling the training for every teacher in the district, for every staff, superintendent and cabinet included, on this culturally and linguistically responsive culture. That's why I have this position out here being going through a process now, is so that kind of thing can be infused naturally into our culture, and that we create a culture that you all are talking about. We shouldn't have to wait or be so insensitive. When you have a majority culture in your school, you absolutely have to take time and do a healing circle, do a come together, do an all-call assembly. I don't want to micromanage what you do, but it absolutely, if it calls for it, and you have students in pain and people in pain, right then and there, you turn that into a moment of healing and coming together. So I apologize that that you feel that way, and I'm gonna see what I can do to tie that part at least together, so it doesn't stay open. The wound doesn't stay open. Okay. We welcome all of our students into our schools, and they're a treasure for us.
So can I ask a question on that point of the culturally linguistic responsive teaching? Are the associates asking the principals what are they doing in their school to integrate this in? Is it part of the conversation that they're having with principals? You understand what I mean? When they go into the
Principals are
building?
being trained
Can you?
too.
Is it part of the conversation?
It absolutely is a part of the conversation.
Darlene, Cassandra,
Everyone? Everyone?
let's stand
Everyone?
up so we can hear you.
So I can speak for myself and my colleagues that when we take a look at the demographics in our school, it's a conversation that simply cannot be ignored. We look at our school data, whether it's suspension, attendance, our Regents data, our graduation data. There's no way to not have these conversations if we're going to meet the needs of our children. So that is the expectation, and it's woven in everything that we do. What I want you to know, it's not a set-aside conversation. It's growing into more and more about the way that we do things. We have a long ways to go, but it's a daily dialogue.
And the principals are being trained in disproportionality through TAC-D, so we have many conversations around that also. And the training they're doing, making sure that we're turkeying that information to their staff, so it's part of the conversation within the school also. So it's not just stopping at the principals, going right down to the staff.
Yeah, and it involves the way the building, the facility actually looks.
But I hear you that in this case it didn't feel like some of that was being applied.
Right.
And it was an easy step, I think, to begin to apply some of that. Even if you didn't have the training, some of that is just good education.
It is.
You
It's
need to
just
be trained.
being
So-
a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, sensitive to
Yeah.
needs. Yeah,
But
that doesn't have anything to do
we'll
with the
always
training.
pledge to do better. We'll do better.
And can I just say, this year, we were going to do the annual day of Hajj, but things happen, and so maybe what you can do as part of your footprint is to identify people next year in these schools who are going to lead this. Okay, so we can get a head start on it, so in case something happens, you know, you got your A and B person to follow up with it, okay? Because I think the biggest issue that came out of that day for us, and wearing those wraps, is that how people looked at us, you know, and they assumed a lot of things. But I think that when the Muslim women wear that, when they put that on, they are exposed, you know. They're showing that this is their religion, but they're also subject to things that you would not know. Because I got on the elevator and it was very funny. And Elena, she told her story about people were looking at her, you know. And so I'm looking forward to next year, hopefully, if I'm reelected, to do that.
Well, I also want to say that Ramadan is coming up.
Yes.
And I think we need to be sensitive to that. And I know that I've heard from students, Muslim students who are concerned about the fact that they're fasting for a period of time, so all day long, students are fasting.
We
And
have regions, and like for us, for Ramadan, we would fast. We would have to wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, stop eating at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I used to do my studying time around that time because it's easier for me because I have food in my stomach. And then I would stop eating until 9 o'clock in the morning. It was so hard for us, for a lot of Muslim people.
so I think we need to share, to educate
But
staff about
that's
those
something
things.
you might want to talk to your regent about the state changing that exam time during that time. Did you talk to the
I
regent?
tried in the summer and I didn't get any response.
Did you talk to your regent, Catherine
No,
Collins?
I went to Scott Holder in the summer, and I took her email. She told me to email her, but she didn't do
Well, I
anything.
think you should start with your local person and see what she can do. We'll give you her.
Okay, bless you. So let's move on then. May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Moved by Ms. Belton Cotman, seconded by Ms. Jay. All in favor? Thank you. It seems that I have the first item on the consent agenda, and item, I believe it's line C, line 3. I have a number of questions about that position, and so I'm requesting that this be removed from the item at this point and put into executive session for discussion.
Line 3, the first page. Page 1, line 3.
On the appointment of the individual, which includes questions about the position, the requirements of the position. Yes. Did I get the right one? Because I'm sorry, I'm kind of.
Is it the director of
Right
social
line?
development?
Yes.
Emotional wellness.
All right, thank you. We'll remove that and put it in executive session so we can have a thorough discussion as it is a personnel item. Okay, going on to 11B, Mr. Trucy.
I just had a quick question. I wonder if we have enough slots for the number of students who are interested in participating in the Mayor's Summer Youth Program. It's a wonderful opportunity for them.
40 additional.
Right, these are 40 slots specific to Buffalo in this CTE program. We encourage our students to work the Mayor's Summer Youth Program. These are only the Buffalo specific spots sponsored by the MBK funding and the MBK program.
Is it enough for the kids in the MBK program, or will they have to apply separately for the Mayor's Summer Youth outside of MBK?
Well, they have to apply separately for Mayor's Summer Youth. This is so that we have the positions in our program, we need them, but it has to be funded through Mayor's Summer Youth. So this is the money that goes to Mayor's Summer Youth.
Thank you, Derek.
11C
and
D.
They go
Ms.
together.
Jay? Yes.
Yeah.
They do.
You also have this T-check, so, I mean, I just wanted to get a little bit more information about this program from.
Let me explain about the exciting program.
Yeah.
It's the Model P20 Partnership Principal Preparation Program. So what the state did, they actually set aside 3% of the Title II funding so that districts can apply for a grant. The grant money was then awarded to the districts that applied, and Buffalo was one of the award recipients. However, to participate, you must partner with a university, an institution of higher learning, and a development program, an administrative development program. The programs we chose to partner with are the University of Buffalo and the New York City Leadership Academy. We partnered with both of them before. So they get a portion of the grant. The University of Buffalo is developing a 30-credit course, well, 30-credit program, so that teachers who are not certified to be administrators are able to receive their SBL. In addition, the New York City Leadership Academy does the coaching and the mentoring. They provide the training for staff and UB officials to do the coaching and mentoring of the people that get accepted into the program. Now, next year, the grant, you'll see the grant money goes down considerably because this is the development year. We've actually been working with them for a long period of time to develop this entire program. So we had an information session yesterday to see what teachers will be interested in this program. It was on Monday, I'm sorry. There were 54 teachers that showed up at Waterfront. We have another information session that will be taking place tomorrow at Performing Arts.
So are you pleased with the interest? Because I know that's something that we're
Absolutely.
always talking about, is not being able to recruit enough.
Building our bench.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. We are pleased with the interest. Absolutely. And this is the pilot year, so the New York State will be setting this money aside so that in future years we can tweak the program, we can develop it, and enter into agreement for another cohort of teachers that want to become administrators. And this is specifically for school building leaders.
Yeah, the initial interest is encouraging.
Yeah.
It's not going to solve it, but it's very encouraging. I didn't expect to get 40 right out the
Was there
gate
any
like that.
diversity?
Oh, a great deal of diversity. And the program is highly competitive because our first cohort will not be more than 10 because it's the pilot year.
So what kind of a time commitment is it for people to go through this?
Well, because it is an accelerated program, there will be a summer kickoff of 20 days, full-time 20 days, and then it will be specialized programming during the school year. Well, the classes will be held on Friday and Saturdays here in the district, and there will be some online learning also.
My question is, what are we looking for? What are the criteria? And secondly, do these individuals get a stipend?
No, well, we're working it out, so part of the grant will pay for some internship time, and we're working that out right now. We're in talks about what that will look like. And what the important part is, it's aligned to the 2015 P-CELs, so those are the new learning standards for administrators. I'd like to show you what the competencies are. I can send you the list of competencies, because now we're in the process of working with the University of Buffalo and the New York City Leadership Academy to say, okay, if you meet this competency of equity, this is what you have already demonstrated. So we're working through our 10 competencies, which have already been approved by the state, and we're working to say these are the activities you must participate in to show that you've reached these competencies.
How do you select? You've got 40 people who are interested, very competitive. How will you select the 10?
Correct. So we're developing that rubric now. Right now, the first phase, and the applications will be due by April 5th. The first phase is to submit and edit your transcripts and 2 letters of recommendation. Thank you. Cassandra is partnering. She's the partner who is working on this grant as associate superintendent. And then after that, there will be interviews conducted on April 12th in the evening and April 13th, which is a Saturday all day. And so it will be. And New York City Leadership Academy staff and the University of Buffalo staff, as well as BPS staff, must be on the interview.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go on to number 17E. I had a question. There was a piece in here that kind of stood out, and I wondered, what does it mean? It says BPS discount is up to 85%. What does that mean? So, I mean, we're talking about a contract that is up to $3,300,000. So what's the 85?
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Nevergold. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. What that means is this is an E-rate procurement. So, again, the federal government will pick up up to 85% of this procurement, and our local share will be 15%. So our local share will be roughly $500,000 of the roughly $3.4 million of this switch procurement.
I hadn't seen it expressed as a discount before.
Correct. Correct. Thank you.
Here's a quick question. Yes.
So are we doing best and final offers anymore or not?
You changed it to negotiating with the low bidder. That's what
Right. So when are we doing it? When do we do it? When we want to, or when do we have a post policy to do it? When do we do it?
The proposed policy to do that is on the table. But we do that as a matter of course.
Did we do it on this one?
I can't speak for it.
Yeah, if we don't do BAFO, it's not in anymore.
It's not.
Right.
No. You mean it's not in? It's taken in and out. Out.
We did it last year for that company, AS.
We have not been doing best in class.
Why haven't we been? Why are we taking it out of the
We had a long
policy?
discussion on
I
that.
know we did, but I want it to be on the record. Why are we taking it out? Why it's not an option at all anymore?
Because we're developing a new policy and looking at the best practices around the country. We feel that it was, and believe that it was a practice that had a solid foundation in best practice in law.
How many times did we use it?
I don't know the answer, but a handful of times.
Is that the policy that's on the
That's
agenda?
the policy that's on
that we're
this.
pulling?
Because when we did it last year, there was this
Taking it
big
off the
push.
table.
How important
That's
it
his
is.
table, it's coming off the
Remove
table.
means
From
that we'd
table.
like you to vote on it.
Yes.
That's what that means.
I'm not impressed. And it just appears to me if there's an opportunity to save money, it's not being taken in that situation. It's just not being done, for whatever reason, it's not being done.
Okay, we're gonna move on to 18I. Mr. Trucy.
Yeah, it's down for a question, but it's really more of a comment. I just wanted to remind people that we are being asked to pay for some additional money for our garbage disposal. On the agenda tonight is also a resolution sponsored about recycling. I'm hoping that if we expand our recycling, both practice through this policy, that we will save money on our tipping fees when it comes to garbage and waste.
Well, you know, I don't know if everybody's aware, but China is not accepting our garbage anymore. And recycling is questionable whether it saves you any money and it might cost you more. So we gotta, before we leap into that, it's a countrywide phenomenon right now. It's actually costs people more to recycle than it used to. So we have to be careful.
Yeah, I talked about it.
Thanks for that information. I don't think we knew that.
It was on the news.
It's been up
Oh.
New York Times, the news.
I still think the pilot is worth what we're trying to do and give it a go.
Well, just make sure that you have a place to recycle it to.
Yeah,
Because
that's fine.
what's happening is there is no place to recycle it, and then people that do recycle are now paying more to dispose of their garbage than if they just thrown it in the regular
Yeah,
garbage.
what, do you know about the city? Because I know you
Yeah,
have more intricate knowledge about.
They do. They have been able to, they still have the recycling stream over on Hopkins Street where they've been able to use some of it. Depends on the material, it depends on the quality. So if it's white paper is the most valuable because that's the easiest to recyclable. Plastics, depending on the nature and character of plastic, has some value, but after that it drops off rather quickly. Mixed recyclables are the lowest, and those are the ones that oftentimes you have to pay
Well,
to dispose
everything's
of.
mixed together in Buffalo, so you don't have a separate one for bottles or a separate one for paper.
So is our user fee going
I just
up?
think look, I'm all for it, but I just think you gotta be careful.
No,
because
I-
it might cost you a lot more money.
Cities are cutting back on recycling.
Well, New York City is paying a fortune now because they have no place to put it.
Okay, move on to Ms. J, 22B.
So the reason why I checked this is because it was so controversial, and I was just really interested in knowing what this plan is that we're entering into. This was a big deal when this happened, and I'm glad to see that we're looking to improve how we're doing it. And I just wanted to find out, a little bit more about it.
You say controversial, you mean to work with the 409?
Correct, yeah.
You want to speak on it, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we need information in order to negotiate with the engineers. It's a $23 million a year program that we have. That's how much we spend on our building engineers, all the custodial. They essentially have a stranglehold on the information that's needed to be able to negotiate with them. And by bringing in someone that can actually help benchmark for us, do best practices, it will give us information that we can then use.
How do other districts handle this?
Well, I know that I remember you saying that there, you brought somebody in who was talking about how they do it in New York, right? I mean, is this the same?
No, that was a law firm.
Oh, okay.
But what Council Barbara, I thought, did a good job saying that this is 64 of the largest districts in the country, and they put out a book each year called KPIs, Key Performance Indicators, where they look at all of the major departments of a major district, and they benchmark with each other, and they write little reports, and they do research to say, here are your top in class, and here's what they do in purchasing, or here's what they do in IT. And what we wanted to do is find out, how do people handle large cleaning, custodial facilities maintenance contracts or roles within the large districts, and there's variability on that. Some have their own in-house company, some subcontracted out, and then you have us sort of on a way down here continuum where almost nobody's doing it like that, and we just have to figure out what is best in class and where do we go next with this, because we're right there.
So this is just somebody that's going to help us brainstorm possibilities?
Not brainstorm, they're going to bring data to the table. They're going to bring research to the table.
Recommend best practices for how this is done, because the system's got to change.
Right. Well, we know that.
And the reason we hire an expert counsel to consult with us is as we unwind it, there are numerous pitfalls that we can fall in along the way. What this is going to help us do is design a system that is best practice oriented moving forward.
And the law firm needs it too, because they don't know what to negotiate unless they have a plan.
Correct.
But we pay them $925 an hour, and they don't know.
No,
And they don't know how to find out that information, so we're gonna spend $40,000 for somebody to go ask a couple questions?
That's not how it works.
That's pretty much what you're doing. I'll ask the questions for free.
It's okay.
There you go. People are spending more than 41 hours.
You have complex
Yeah, you're
labor
right.
law issues, you have complex trust issues, you have all kinds.
Yeah.
They're represented as a law firm. Usually when you do this, and I've had some experience with it, you do a detailed business plan and you give it to your lawyer to negotiate for you and make sure that you comply with all laws. How would a lawyer know what the best way to get rid of, I want to plan an operation maybe, that's not what they're trained.
Why would we hire them then?
Because we're asking, they're unbundling a complex legal issue we have with these guys. It's very complex. It's got all kinds of precedent labor law that they're violating. You've got, that's what we're hiring them for.
This is more scope of work.
Best in the country.
Scope of work, what they're going to do, what we're asking them to do, to what level, to what degree, that type of stuff. What do we want? What do we need these guys to do going forward? What's going to be our business model? What's going to be our business practice?
So the KPIs, the key performance indicators, they'll say how many square feet should a cleaner be able to clean in a day? How should a building
As an example.
Yeah.
Well, and also what are the other models?
The Council of Bay City Schools are the resident experts in their particular field. So I've been asked by them to do HR consulting. So I would go into an HR department, look at all their processes and make recommendations. They use leaders of current programs who are best in class practices to distribute.
Yeah, and let me make it real sort of granular. Every district has a number. So let's say we're number 41. Memphis, number 18. Orange County is number 6. And so we turn in our data every year. They hound us for our information on all of these departments. And we give them a lot of information. Jeff gives a lot of information on procurement, on purchasing, on fiscal efficiencies and so forth. HR, we give him information. And so then all of that is put into a report, and then we're ranked. We're ranked in terms of efficiency, effectiveness, and cost. Cost savings, cost avoidance. In some cases, can you generate revenue with your practice? And then that's ranked. And then we're, most districts, if they look at this all the time, and we're always trying to compare and do better, we will look for the top performers in this issue. And then we'll go either send a team to visit, or Council of Great City Schools will sort of come with that information and share for us for several districts. So I think it's a useful and helpful service.
Well, it's
and
how much were we fined by the IRS for this? $5 million?
About 2.5 attributed to this.
To this alone, yeah. And if you don't fix the problem, so I mean, $40,000 for nothing.
It's an
The other
investment.
thing is cost effective. The other thing that the council does send us annually to the board, a very high level piece that delineates the services that we have individually received from them as a result of our membership. So, I certainly would highly recommend it.
Some things they don't charge us at all. Did they charge us for the retreat?
No.
See, that was can't put a price tag on that.
We ain't got any.
All right, board, may I have, a motion?
Your bad.
We are now going to move to ask for a motion to accept the consent agenda with the exception of 9C line 3. May I have,
Oh, acceptable.
right, the consent agenda with the exception of 9C line 3. May I have a roll call vote?
Yes, you may, Madam President. Mrs. Belknap?
Exception 23A.
Dr. Harris, please.
Purchasing
Ms. J?
No exceptions.
Louise is absent. Mr. Petrucci?
No exception.
Ms. Pierce?
No exceptions.
Mr. Quinn?
Accepting 19A and 23A.
And Ms. Woods?
No exception.
Consent agenda passes. And President Navarro. Dr. Navarro.
No exception.
Consent agenda passes.
Thank you. We have a motion, Ms. Belton-Cotman.
Yes, a motion to approve travel for Board Vice President Dr. Teresa Harris Tiggs as a chaperone for the Our Story Project trip to Alabama, April the 28th through May the 1st. In addition, approval is sought for the travel as a chaperone to the August Wilson Monologue Competitions Finals in New York City, May the 4th through the 6th. Both trips are no charge against the Board of Education travel.
So move.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Petrucci and seconded by Ms. Pierce. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes. Thank you. Before, yes. All right. Yeah, we do have a board resolution, and that is regarding the uniform district recycling policy.
No.
Well, that's what it says here.
That's 24A. 24B isn't listed on there. It's the support for New York legislation, traffic speed monitoring system.
Oh, that's your resolution. I'm sorry, it isn't on here, but please.
It is
Mr.
important.
Jeff, oh, it's for Dr.
Well, we don't need it.
Ah, yes, it is.
Not for this.
Right. Would you like to speak to that, Mr. Petrucci?
Sure, thank you very much. Presently, there's a pending legislation. It's been passed by the Assembly and the Senate. It still needs the governor's signature. It is a pilot project for Buffalo to set up traffic speed monitoring systems in the city of Buffalo, particularly cameras around their schools. It's a pilot project. Where this has been done, it has drastically reduced speeding and other traffic infractions around. CDC looked at it. It's been very effective. This has been in response. I know that the Common Council has looked at this. The mayor has brought this up to both Senator Tim Kennedy and Assemblywoman Crystal Peoples. They're the ones who sponsored the bills respectively in each house. They're asking for a letter of support from the board to show that we are supporting this matter before it gets to the governor.
Who's paying for it? You gotta put cameras up on streets in front of 52 schools. I mean, who's paying for it?
City passed it. I expect.
Well, they can
it
pass
to
it,
stay.
but you still have to figure out who's
Well,
gonna pay for
did
it.
they say in the committee?
The Common Council didn't pass a resolution on this related to anything of the expenses, but, I mean, I'd like to find out what the legislation says about who's actually paying for it, if they're asking the municipality to pay for it. But is your question that whether the city would pay for it or the school district would have anything to pay for it, Mr. Quinn, or?
Well, yeah, you gotta put up a camera system in front of every school. And I had a second question is, how many accidents have we had from traffic in front of schools in the last 5 years?
We've had several in front of
I'm
School
just-
54.
I'm just saying, I don't know the answer. I'm asking.
No, I'm just saying, we
A lot of
had,
near misses. A lot of near misses. I don't know how many actual hits.
We had two.
But we have had near
in a
misses
year's time
all
at
the
54.
time.
I mean,
I've seen near misses myself.
I've seen a lot because in Da Vinci, every hour we cross for gym.
You think it's from speeding cars or just?
Yeah, it's the speeding because they see the school zone, but people just don't care about it.
And I know that in front of Olmsted 64, right by that light there, there's a ton, I've heard so many parents complaining about how fast the cars are going there. And That's an elementary school with kids out playing in the
Well,
playground.
that street doesn't have any stop signs
Right,
on it,
exactly.
which is, I'm surprised they don't have more
We've had
accidents.
Southside and Lorraine Academy, where people are trying to get to both the hospital and the school at the same time. Southside, when people are trying to avoid the traffic on Seneca, and when the Skyway was down, they cut over Legion and make that turn on the south side. We've had a special
I'm
police
just
detail.
asking a simple question of how many accidents have we had in front of schools. I'm not prejudging it, I don't know the answer.
And I'll find out what the.
So I think I'd like to know two things. Who's paying for it? And what's the extent of the problem?
Well, the mayor was on TV today,
Yeah.
and the mayor was saying that he was going to comply with this, putting 15-mile speed limits. He was saying it was a good idea, and it seemed to be speaking as he was going to be spending his money to do it.
Okay, so why don't we?
So that was it was out of news grant then.
Well, it's just that traffic is a city responsibility, and
Yeah.
if they throw it at the school board, it's just money we don't have.
It was never flown by in any incarnation of this that the district would be responsible for it.
I'm not sure about that.
Well, that
That's
is
why
not
I'm
what the
asking.
resolution.
They had talked, I was at the common council meeting about this, it was more about signage, they did not.
Yeah, the district would absolutely not be responsible for this cost.
Or they're putting up 52 cameras and monitoring them and downloading them and looking for speeders and all that. You're absolutely certain the district does not have a cost.
I'm 100% certain about the district. I'm not certain about what portion the city would pay versus.
Well,
what
if
the
they
state's
pass a
paying.
law and they require somebody to do it, and Mayor Brown says, I'm not doing it, how are you so sure?
Well, no, I
Mayor
want to
Brown
find
said
out
it's
whether
paid.
the
Well,
city is paying for it or the state, but the district has not been considered as a
sure.
possible
Of
funding.
course, we can pay for it out of that 22 million that we're still waiting on every year. If he wants to give me his 17 million casino money, then
No, I'm just
All right,
asking a
board members,
question.
can we-
You just said out loud.
the 22
Oh,
million,
yes.
give us that, we'll talk about it.
We have a couple of questions. Does that mean that you are not ready to vote on this?
I'd like to know who's paying for it.
Yeah, all right. Well, I thought Dr. Caresses answered that question.
Yeah, but
That the district is not, which is the.
But on what basis is he saying that? Do you know what's in the law? Do you know?
The legislation itself is actually silent on who's funding it,
They said, how
but
do you know?
we were asked to endorse it, and in that discussion, there was absolutely no request made for the
The
district.
reason I'm bringing it up is I had a state
Let me
senator
finish.
call me
There
and
was
ask
no
me who's paying
request
for
made
this.
for the district to participate in funding.
No, who's not paying?
So,
Yeah.
All
we
right,
just
can
need
we
to
have
find
a
out
roll
if it's the
call
city or
vote
the state.
Sure.
on this? If we're going to keep it on the agenda, may we have a roll call vote on this resolution?
Yes, Mrs. Delacosta?
Yeah.
Try to get an answer.
Ms. J?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes,
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
I'm in favor of the idea. I would like to know who's paying for it, so I'll say yes, but I really think that we gotta know a lot more when we put a resolution in place.
So I'm gonna mark you for
Yes,
yes.
but.
Yeah, you can. I'm just editorializing. Sometimes we do that here.
A kind of.
Yeah, kind
Yeah, that was a kind of.
of. Ms. Woods?
Yes.
President Everett?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Thank you. Okay, we do have an executive session tonight, so I'm going to answer the motion, but before everyone leaves, we do want to recognize the moment of silence for bereavement. So may I have a motion to go into, we're going to have the motion first and then we'll, I just don't want everybody to leave yet. I have a motion to go into executive session for the following purposes: to discuss pending litigation with Larry Garman and John Bertino and et al., to discuss pending litigation with Mario G. Hall, and to discuss the employment history and appointment of a particular person. I have a motion, please. Ms. Woods, seconded. Mr. Petrucci, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Now, please stand. We'd like to recognize the losses that we've had in our Buffalo Public School family over the last couple of weeks. A retired teacher, Lorraine M. Cruz. Ms. Cruz died on September 12th, 2018. However, she's being memorialized now. February 13th, retired teacher Donna Fiorella, mother of Sarah Barrow, a fifth grade teacher at Olmsted 156. March 7th, Andrew Boucard, brother-in-law of Leslie Boucard, an ELL teacher and cousin of Kelly Krug, an engineer with the Buffalo Public Schools. March 10th, substitute teacher Larry D. Fields, brother-in-law of Corette Walker, principal of
Arthur O. E. School of Distinction number 61, March 15th. Anton L. Stewart, husband of the late Shirley Stewart, a retired school clerk, father of Dana Stewart Kemp, an English teacher at Newcomer Academy at Lafayette, brother-in-law of Denise Ferguson, a teacher assistant at East Community High School. Nick Constantino, Bennett High School alum and staunch supporter of the Buffalo Public Schools, especially at Bennett High School. For the victims of the massacre, Christchurch, New Zealand, 50 lives lost and many that were injured and are still in the hospital. We have a moment of silence and remembrance for those individuals.
I'll find out.
Yeah.
And then you thought about going through the entire day without it, you turned around.
Thank you very much.
But you know what?
The board went into executive session to discuss pending litigation with Larry Garman and John Bertino et al. Secondly, to discuss pending litigation with Mario G. Hall. And third, to discuss the employment history and appointment of a particular person. No action was taken, and now I do have a request for motion authorizing the district to pay $180,000.00 to fully settle the federal lawsuit between Larry T. Garman and John Bertino et al. And versus the Buffalo Board of Education, docket number 15-CV-00431, and authorizing the superintendent to execute the settlement documents. Have a motion, please. Moved, Mr. Woods, seconded, Mr. Quinn. Need a roll call vote, or, I don't think so, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Second, may I have a motion authorizing the district to pay $12,000 to fully settle the New York State Division of Human Rights complaint between Mario G. Hall versus Buffalo Board of Education, and authorizing the superintendent to execute the settlement documents. Moved, Mr. Petrucci, seconded, Ms. Cotman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. And third, we need to move on 9C, line 3, which we pulled from our consent agenda. So I have a roll call vote on 9C, line 3.
Yes, you may. Mrs. Belkacem, how do you vote? No, it's not. Ms. J?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci?
No exception.
Ms. Pierce?
No exceptions.
Mr. Quinn?
Boy, yes.
Ms. Woods?
No. I vote against it.
Yes. President Evergo?
Exception.
So it's standing no vote. It passes.
It passed, okay.
Okay. I have a motion to adjourn. So moved. Mr. Quinn?